Time.
Hi, everyone. It is Monday, and that means it is time for Silent Mystics Finding Your Voice, where Diana and I, boy, we do. We explore the mystical, the magical, and any more, the often unexplainable. It is crazy out there. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, Diana.
Hello,
it is good to be here on Monday. How are you?
It works. I am doing really, really well. I feel like when we talk about the unexplainable, I think that this week we're really going into some truly unexplainable because humanity is going through a huge leap. And I don't know about you, but I'm feeling some wild growth inside of me. And I know many are. So let's talk about it today. Let's get that conversation rolling. Let me see.
Yeah, I would really like that. And please, everyone, please share this out. I know I've had some people ask if we would share it out to them. So that's what we're doing right now, is sharing it out to different folks. I'm going to share to the Angelic River family. But really, quite honestly, what's going on with everybody? I know I was telling Diana before we started today that this has been this last week. And by the way, folks, we're coming up on a new moon here very, very soon. So I tell you that. And hi, Melanie. Melanie is with us. And it's nice to see you. Very nice to see you.
Deborah Snowsill. She doesn't say anything yet, but Deborah's here also.
Hi, Deborah. Hi. I don't see her on my thing yet, but hi, Tammy.
Good afternoon. I want to say good morning, but it's not morning this time. It's afternoon. Good afternoon, Tammy.
Hi, Jason.
Or Jason, you made it.
Oh my gosh, I haven't seen you in a while. And so please let us know what's going on with you guys. The energies that are out there right now are absolutely crazy. And I have found for myself that a lot of healing is really taking place. And we talked about this a little earlier before we came on. It's going into deeper levels now. It's not, it's even going into some places that I had not anticipated, but I have to say in retrospect, I'm really happy about. I don't know. I'd like to pose this one question and see what people say. Hi, Marianne.
Hi, Marianne.
I just connected with, when I was back in broadcasting, that's been well over 30 years ago that I saw these people the last time. Was, probably about 33, 34 years ago, we all saw each other for the last time. Wow, does that date me? One person is still back in the Quad Cities where I was in broadcasting. One is out in California. We haven't spoken in over 3 decades. And another friend of ours that was actually, it was an ex-fiance, that we all were together during that time period. We've all come back together, or I've come back in contact with each and every one of them. And it didn't really hit me how much healing still needed to be done. And I'm not talking about like, oh, boo-hoo-hoo kind of healing. I'm just saying that there was some awarenesses that I find that I came to that that the only way I could have had these awarenesses was through these individuals. Some of them, I left a broadcasting career that was pretty exciting, quite wonderful. I know a lot of what I know today, I learned there. And I don't know about anyone else, but every now and then I find myself looking at my choices and looking at where I'm at and what I'm doing in the world, and am I being the most effective? So that literally came up in my world again. So I'm prefacing everything there and throwing it out to all of you to see, have you had that experience lately? Are people from your past coming up? I know I've seen a lot of readings where people from very far ago are coming up. What's going on with you, Diana? Anything like that happening?
I don't know that I'm having as far as, well, there's obviously deep healing. I think for me, I'm going back and it's been a different kind. You and I seem to be on a different path. There's family, you know, there's healing that needs to happen with family members, then that will continue to pop up, obviously. For me, I think that I'm going in deeper and deeper for me with me. It's been a kind of because I more into my childhood, but more into the past life stuff, because what I'm realizing is the most important thing that we can do is we're coming through this and coming out the other side, which I think a lot of us are. This deep healing has been, you know, me, like this past month, past 2 months have been like a crazy depth of healing, a place where almost taking me to my knee, well, definitely taking me to my knees, and maybe even on my face, like flat out healing. But the more that I've been willing to do that, the deeper I feel like I'm getting into different layers of myself, which is a whole different thing. So when I talk about the unexplainable, I'm like, oh, okay, wait a minute. I seem to be reconciling. My mouth is all tied up. Reconciling with those past, like the past versions of me, my ancestry, old karma, all these things are working up with me too. So it's not just, so I love that you're going into these old relationships, because it feels like that's bringing you to a deeper level of healing that maybe for a lot of us, as we're going into these relationships, these physical relationships on the planet, as they come back at us, it gives us a place to find like a reconciliation. It's not that it's so necessary that we, you know, sort it all out. Not everybody's going to even be still alive, or they're going to be willing to go through this reconciliation with us. But going back into those relationships a little bit deeper, is there a hook inside of us that's like holding us back because we didn't complete, or we feel like we didn't, you know, end the relationship quite right. So it's beautiful that you're having opportunities now, that they're just coming out, because it feels like it's time. It's like another part of this.
It does. And I think oftentimes when it's the memory of the relationship or the energy of the relationship that takes you deeper within yourself to heal, right. to have greater clarification. I wanted to read, and by the way, hi Sherry Gatewood. I wanted to read Jason Watts's comment. He says, I've retreated the last few months to protect my space and my fam during moments of hardship, but I'm back to work and visible again. The healing has been incredibly deep. And she has a few more, he has another comment. But there is a quote, it's a rune from one of the rune cards. It's an old deck that I have that said, the sign of a true spiritual warrior is one who can retreat in strength. And I think that's what we're finding a lot. A lot of people are retreating, but they're retreating in strength. They're not hiding. They're retreating in strength and going within, diving deep and doing the deep work and really healing themselves. And it sounds like that's what Jason's been doing. He has another comment there as well.
Yeah,
and hi, Janet and Carol Ann.
Carol and Gabby. They're just popping up everywhere.
Hi, Gabby.
Do you want me to go on with his second comment?
Yes, please do. Please do.
He says, for me, it's all about expectations. What do I expect from those around me? Be they family, friends, or strangers. It's my expectations of my experience that creates the most healing opportunities. Wow, this is beautiful. For myself, so many patterns that I've noticed repeating lately in my relationships. Yeah, I will agree with that one. That is a definite. It feels like, I know for me, I can see we start to see how things start to come together. Like, oh, okay, now I know, I understand. If I'm willing to rise above these experiences that I've had and see how I've learned from my experiences and grab onto the learning part of it and not dwell on the experience itself. So yes. That's the important thing. I think we get so rattled by all of these experiences and it holds us into this pattern of PTSD, this fight, flight, or freeze response, instead of rising above it and looking at it and going, okay, it may have been a horrible experience that I had, but I don't have to be defined by it. What did I learn in the process of going through that? Because if we don't learn from it, we just keep repeating. So we'll keep calling in those same kind of experiences. So our relationships, many of us will just continue to go through this pattern of, but here's a question. Does it come to a place where if we realize that we've got a pattern and we look at that pattern and we go, okay, I see it, I've learned from it. This is what I've learned, and I know that I'm done with this experience. Does it mean that we necessarily have to move to different people, or does it mean that those soul contracts are released and then that person that's been giving us this experience, then somehow that's released in them and then the relationship changes? Do you see what I'm saying? Can it
I
work?
see exactly, and I love that. I absolutely love that concept. What you're talking about is because when it's kind of like if you put a wall up against somebody and they keep batting against it, it's they're batting the same wall. But as soon as you move the wall, then they're free to flow.
Right.
And you don't have, when we change our energy, the energy that comes at us changes. Now, I personally believe one of two things happen. Those people who are not getting the same response from you because you're not attracting that energy. If they still need to have that exchange with someone, they're going to go find it somewhere else.
Right.
Now, hopefully what they have been, and Violet says she's been experiencing the same perspective recently. Mm-hmm. So hopefully what will happen is with us healing generationally, and with our families, with our relationships, because we're all connected, that we open the door for their healing as well.
Right.
But if they still need a drama or some type of energetic hit, if you will, and we're not there to provide it for them, they will move on to someone else.
Right.
So I think it's a combination of all of that. I think it depends on the person that you're interacting with. I think it depends because let's face it, sometimes with family, we're not able to move away from, but we can change the dynamic in which how we interact with them.
We can change our reactivity.
Yes.
We change, so we've healed, so we're no longer triggered by that thing that used to drive us crazy. It's like the triggers are being released. And that's so important. I know that that's been a big thing for me for the past couple of years. Through the last relationship that I had, I learned all about triggers, and I learned all about, okay, why am I in this relationship? Well, I'm in this relationship because I still have daddy-daughter issues to deal with. I still have an abusive marriage from almost 20 years. I still had triggers from that. So this person came into my life to help me to trigger those things, bing, 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 bing. And when I did get triggered, instead of being reactive in a way of, well, this is your fault and you're the one, I am angry with you for doing this to me. It was, okay, wait, stop. What is it in me that's making me get triggered by what you just did? And once I turned it around and started working on myself, because we cannot make other people do the work. And no matter how much we want to, you can't force them to react the way that you need them to react. The only thing that you can control is your triggers, your reactivity to them. So can you work on yourself enough so that you take that pause? You say, oh, wait, shh, okay, stop for a minute. Why am I reacting here? And then when you react to them differently, it changes the way they react back to you. So we're always mirroring. If we don't give them that big trigger, if we don't get all upset and mad, and then there's no fuel for the fire.
Yeah, there's not that energetic interaction, and that's the beauty of it. And that's as we keep moving forward, we're finding that there are going to be those relationships, and even some are family relationships that you're just not going to move forward with. Mm-hmm. But I love what you said. When you get triggered, you go within, mm-hmm. because we can't change anyone else. Mm-hmm. And quite honestly, I find that I don't get triggered unless I have some aspect of that behavior within myself.
Right. Exactly. We're seeing what we don't like in other people. That's the truth. It's like,
because that's what we don't like in ourselves.
That's right. Because we don't like it. So we don't like it in ourselves. We see it in somebody else and we're like, oh, I don't like that thing. Well, guess what? That's because it's me. So because, I think we forget that mirror effect. We're always sure there's people that are going to come into our lives that are really, really not necessarily mirroring. They're like total opposite of us. Of course, you're going to have people in your life like that. But the ones that really they come in and they really stick and they're trying to teach you a lesson, it's usually something that you need to figure out about yourself. That's just the way that we're wired. We're attracting what we need the most. And we need to learn certain things about ourselves. We've come here. Really, why do we come to the planet anyway? We've come to the planet because we need to learn how to love more deeply. We need to learn how to love unconditionally. So if we're still holding in us that pattern of judgment and that pattern of never being good enough, and okay, and step one there with that is I can go around judging everybody else. I can fall into gossip. I can do all that. That's one part of it. But the biggest part of it is I'm not looking at the person in the mirror correctly. I'm still judging my own self. I'm still picking on my own self. I'm still finding things in me to dislike. And so because I'm doing that to myself, then I mirror that out to other people and I'm pulling that in. So it's not just that we're doing it to other people. We're so hard on ourselves, and you got to love you first. If you don't fully love you, you can't expect that you're going to get into a relationship where that other person can fully love you, because once again, you're a mirror. I don't love me. Nobody else is truly going to be able to love me either. Make sense?
It makes total sense.
Mm-hmm.
We got a lot of comments here and I love them. Janet says, she doesn't do drama unless it's at the theater. Right? Absolutely. And if we learn what triggers us, we can change the triggers within us. And did you see Violet's? I love that last name, Violet.
Going there.
I love that.
Which one are we going to? Violet's been really busy, but I like the masculine and the feminine polarity is also something I've been contemplating in our own beliefs regarding the male female role models and that we have in our lives and how we impact each other. That's very, very true, because the truth is we all have this balance. We all have the feminine and the masculine, but it's finding a balance between them. And for so long, there's been this imbalance on the planet, like the male with the brawn, kind of overtaking the feminine energy. And we're seeing now, we were just talking about that. We're seeing now where we're seeing a better balance is, in the government, wherever, we're seeing more of the female energy come back up to the surface. So hopefully we can find a balance in that worldwide, but definitely within our own relationships. And I feel like, Violet, you also need to be looking, each one of us needs to be looking at that balance within ourselves,
Yes.
That balance of the male feminine energy between us, because if we don't think about it in our relationships, it's like, remember the book Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus?
Yes, I actually have a copy of it on my bookshelf. I just found an old copy.
I realize this, and it's important for me to bring it up right now. I realize that there's a way that I have a certain reactivity to my relationship with Jim, and I said that to him the other day. I spent the whole day just looking at him, trying to sort some things out. And I realized that a lot of my reactivity towards him is coming from that feminine energy of that, my needs as a female. But maybe it's time for me to spend more time working on my understanding level of him by digging deeper into my masculine side. Like we all have this. So instead of my being so focused on this female part of me that's needy, that needs, maybe I can pull myself in his direction. And the truth is that it goes both ways, that maybe he needs to spend more time, realizing that, the differences in how we're wired, but can we find some kind of a happy medium where we're not so reactive? I'm still a girl, like I'm not trying to say I want to be a guy, but maybe I can stop reacting so much in that super needy, that feminine energy, and I can start to balance a little bit and see his needs too. So I'm not being so reactive. Does that make sense? And I feel
it makes total sense, to understand how just as genders, we approach things so incredibly different. I have to say, after I read that book the very first time, I thought, if that doesn't prove that God has a sense of humor, nothing else would. You have these two genders who are diametrically opposed to each other in thought and concept, and they cannot live without each other. And that to me is absolute, comic genius. But
it doesn't, it's like, well, go ahead, finish what you're saying.
Well, it's so we find ourselves searching for that balance in a partner. And it doesn't matter whether it's same sex, it's heterosexual, it doesn't really matter, because we're still trying to find whether we're really feminine trying to find the masculine balance, or we're masculine trying to find the feminine balance, or we have a same gender where maybe we are expressing one or the other more predominantly. It's really, we're always looking to another person to find that balance outside of ourselves. And what I feel like is that we are, as we find that balance within ourselves, all of our relationships will go so much easier, because we're not, it's just like people say, don't expect anyone to make you happy. If you can't make yourself, don't lay that on anyone else.
Right.
It's the same thing with finding that masculine feminine balance. No, I am not anti-relationship. I love relationships. I've had a multitude of them, as we all know. I can't land on one name. I've got about 5 of them, right? So it's not that I don't love being in relationship. I do, but it is about finding and creating for myself wholly those balances, that happiness, and be self-contained in that sense, so that when I do go out into the world, or when I interact with my spouse or my friends even, that the balance is here, and everything outside of me then is icing on the cake, if you will.
Right.
Lofty goal. Trust me, not one I've accomplished, but I think that's also where we're going in this 5th dimensional consciousness, is the balance.
Yeah, it's moving out of codependence and into co-independence. It's like being in a relationship where you can stand firmly in your own space, and you feel very, very strong, and you don't need, like, you move out of that neediness, like, oh, if he doesn't say a certain thing, I'm just gonna fall apart, or if he doesn't call me at a certain time, or if he doesn't, whatever. Instead of doing that, it's like, you just, something in you shifts, and you're like, nah, he's busy doing his thing, and I got my stuff to do, and I'm perfectly happy going through life doing my thing. And somehow we come together as 2 solid, strong individuals, and then we've got this balance, and we can just kind of roll with it. We get into the flow of the relationship instead of this constant, like, like, that's how a codependent is. It's always like you're always looking to the other person to fill some kind of a need in you. And when you realize that you don't need that, and that you are everything that
you're
you
comfortable where you're at. I love this comment from Jason. He says, I express feminine energy a lot more than masculine energy, but I'm comfortable where I am on that for now. Sometimes just have to accept where we are. Acceptance of imbalance is the first step to finding a path to balance. Amen. Thank you, Jason. Very well put. Very well put.
Yeah. We can't heal something unless we know it exists. So the first point, and that's why we get triggered, and that going back to the beginning of it, the reason why we've got these relationships in our lives that are triggering us is so that we can go, oh, okay, wait, there's something here. And not only am I being triggered by this person, but I've been triggered by that one, and that one, and that one, and that one. And so then I'm like, okay, why does this keep repeating in my history? And then you go, okay, let me tell you a personal story real quick. This actually came up to me again. So it's all kinds of relationships. I realized this past couple of weeks that I have a big problem with miscommunication or zero communication. So if I put something out for someone and they don't answer me, especially when we're in this texting world where everybody's like, people are busy, like they're busy doing their lives. So just because we send a text, there's no natural communication. It's not like I say something to you and you answer me. We're texting and messaging, and then we expect a reply. So if nobody gets back to us when we do that, we're like, trigger, like something's wrong. What is going on? What did I do wrong? Did I make them mad? Are they, did they get hurt or something? Whatever. My brain goes to all these places, and I can go deeper and deeper and deeper into that rabbit hole. So I realized that this is a trigger. It comes from my little girl. Like my relationship with my father was not good, and the communication was very poor, and then he was just gone. And then I was in an abusive relationship where when he would get mad, he'd shut me down for days. He just wouldn't talk, and it was like it drove me crazy. So there was no communication. So now here I am, even with my kids, if I reach out to them and they don't answer me, I get crazy. And I've realized I've done this for a long time. I just didn't realize that I was doing it until just recently. And then I went, okay, ding, 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 ding. This is mine to work on. This is my stuff. I might be mad at them, but it's not necessarily just because they didn't have time or they got distracted and didn't answer me doesn't mean that I need to be angry with them. It means I need to come back to me and say, okay, why am I being triggered by this lack of communication? And so it gave me the opportunity to work on it. And I've come a long way this week on that, but I didn't know I needed to fix it until I got triggered. That's the key.
I totally can relate to that. For me, it's if somebody doesn't respond right away, it's like, well, they don't like me anymore. They
Right.
don't love me. Whatever. You know, there's that insecurity that comes up, and it's the same trigger every time.
Right.
So, and so then it becomes when they do respond and they say to me, "Oh, sorry, I didn't get back to you right away, but man, this happened and this happened and this happened," and I go, wow, I just wasted so much energy and insecurity and self-doubt and all of these emotions, these useless
life
emotions.
Energy. You wasted life energy, truly.
Yes, over my old core beliefs, unconscious, subconscious patterns, triggers that had nothing to do with the situation at hand.
Hi, John. Hi,
Angel. Hi, Angel, and hi, John.
Yeah, Janet, the only person you need to be dependent on is yourself. That's exactly true. We need to learn to look within ourselves. And I really feel like the universe, God, whoever you want to call it, is really giving us that lesson over and over and over again. Would you please? And then it's like you go to the spiritual level. Well, I'm really, really struggling. Why am I always looking to a person to try to help me figure this out? Why am I not looking to the team that I have all around me all the time? Like, it's a reminder too that no, we are not alone. And I would have to say that it's not necessarily true that we only have to count on ourselves, because we came through this beautiful team. We're never all by ourselves. So even though we think that we are, and we think we got to flounder around and figure this all out, please know that I know it's difficult. Our angels, our guides, they know it's difficult. They're not leaving us alone in this. So remembering to, as you're having these relationship issues and these different things going on, please remember that you're not all by yourself, that you can always ask for some help and some clearing, and you can work hopefully at a soul level with some of these people, maybe eventually, like you are, getting to a place where you can actually resolve some of those old wounds that need to be resolved. That's what I want
to say hi to Lisa real quick. Hi, Lisa. She's up in the mountains up near you. She's in North Carolina.
Really? Aren't these beautiful mountains? It's a gorgeous time here. Yeah. The leaves are starting to fall now, but we still have so much color, and it's just incredible.
I'll tell you, I think we need to find again the balance. I think it all comes back to balance of knowing that we're self-contained and be independent within ourselves and not codependent. But there is also that place where we need to know that we can reach out to others. You and I reach out to each other a lot, and I have other people that I do this with as well, because amazingly enough, Diana, you're not available 24/7. I just don't understand it, but but we are a team.
Work on that.
Yeah, please work on that if you would. We are a team. We're a team here. We came here with soul contracts and as teammates to help each other. I have this vision in my head, and I was talking about this with one of my friends in the UK today. I see these ladders up against this big wall. Mm-hmm. And I see us, different ones, and some of us are up here and some are down here, and there might be somebody ahead of us, but we're all reaching down to each other and lifting each other up that ladder. When I first started on this path decades ago, that each rung, it was harder. It was so hard to get up a rung and that. And now we're kind of scaling that wall like it's nothing. Yeah. And it's becoming easier because there is more consciousness, there is more light, there is more awareness, and there are more and more people who we can reach out to and say, hey, I mean, I know I'm divinely perfect. I know I'm really great, but guess what? I need some help right now. I need help.
Stuff is tough.
It's tough. Yeah. It's we think, especially if you're on the air, like we're on the air, or we teach or whatever, that we need to have these perfectly organized lives without any complications. And the truth of it is, there isn't any of us that aren't going through this in one degree or another. And I mean, there are each and every one of us get to experience the dark night of the soul from time to time.
Right.
And we all need help.
Mm-hmm.
We all have those places, because right now, more than ever, the universe is conspiring for all of us to get rid of all that 3D baggage so that we can ascend into higher states of consciousness.
Right.
And we can't do it unless we literally look at our stuff, go, oh, okay, hello. Ooh.
We can't always see our own stuff. That's the problem, can we? We're like, it's easy to see it in somebody else, but we can't see it in ourselves. So that's where the friends show up. We're like, you know what? Let me call you out on that. That one I think you'd have to work on a little bit. And we all need it. We all need our friends to call us out, to keep us out of that ego-based belief system, because the ego is still popping up strongly. I think the ego, that dark side of the ego, is really strong right now for so many people, all the way across
for a lot of people.
Planet. Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, the world circumstances right now, whether it's the election, the COVID, whatever it is bringing out, in some cases, the worst, in some cases, the best, and everything in between.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so we're all getting to deal with all of this, and we're all moving through it the best way we know how. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to actually my parents the other day, and this was before the election happened. And there's a lot of angst, rightly so, for everyone, no matter what side of the aisle you're on. It doesn't matter. Everyone is scared, and with COVID, everyone is, and rightly so. But we are a collective consciousness, and what I look at it as consciousness soup.
Right.
And each and every one of us are an ingredient in that soup. Mm-hmm. And so, as I said to them, I want what I'm putting into the soup to be really good, love, high vibration,
right?
Call me Pollyanna, but as much as possible, I want what I put in the soup to be really good and really yummy and taste real good.
Because that soup eventually is the planet that we're going to be living on. It's the earth that we're creating. Right now,
it's the planet we're living on. Yeah.
Right. And it's evolving right now by all of this energy that's coming forth. So it's so important to keep working all this lower vibrational stuff out. Yeah. You know what I realized too, and I was talking about it this morning, the importance of putting on that cloak when you walk out in the morning, wherever you go. If you're going to Walmart, or you go wherever you're going, it's not just sitting here. It's not us teaching classes. That's a part of it. It's not just sitting on shelves, but it's like wherever you go, we need to learn to hold ourselves in that high vibration, whatever we're doing. So it requires a continual, go back and check myself, because I'm going out in public now. There's all these people that are with the politics. There's people that are really, on both sides, all this stuff still going on. So can I hold myself in a place where I can rise above all that stuff and say, okay, wait, this is just a little symptom of a disease. And my world is not going to revolve around what happens in the White House. Each one of us, none of us really that are affected as much as we think. We're giving it too much of our energy. The reality is that each one of us is responsible for stepping forward, for doing good, for creating a higher vibration on the planet in whatever way that we can. And it's when you walk out to go to Walmart, can you take that cloak and change? The energy is with you all the time. Envision yourself with this energy that's all around you. You're calling in your angels, you're calling it whatever you want to call it, and you bring it and you just kind of pad yourself up with it. And then when you go out to Walmart or wherever, they're experiencing the energy that you're bringing forth. And they don't even know why they feel better. And they don't know why the room suddenly lifted, because you're so important. And the energy that you're bringing forth into the world is so important. And those people that pass by you on the streets are affected by the energy that you're putting off. It's that important. It really is. It's in every situation, not just with your children or your spouse or your whoever. It's with everybody that you interact with wherever you go. We know that it has an effect on us negatively when we're like, say we're standing in a checkout line and the person behind us is in a big hurry and they're like shooting arrows into our back. You know, you are really, that's psychic attack. And we are all capable of psychic attack. And we're all capable of the opposite of psychic attack. What if you're standing there in that line and yes, you're in a big hurry and you got to get home to your kids, but instead of reacting negatively to those people, you're just sending out love bombs. You're just like, you know, you hold that positive energy. They're going home to their children and they're feeling better about life. And they may not even probably have no idea why they feel so good. You just did your job. It's with every interaction, you know, it's important.
Sorry, I'm leaning in because it's really raining outside and my volume is, I'm having background noise with the thing. But I want to say hi to Val Meyer too. But Marianne, and first of all, I want to say to you, that is a great way. We talk a lot about what's going on, but I want to hear too from everyone out there. How are you coping? How are you offsetting the energy? What are you doing to heal? How are you going through this? How are you processing? Because right now we all need as many ideas and processes as we can possibly get to navigate what we're going through. That's a great idea. Imagine the cloak around you as you go out into public. And Marianne Malone Cindy says, we cannot give our power away.
Exactly true.
So, and that is so important. It's such a,
it's simple and profound, right?
It is simple, and yet it's probably the most profound statement that we can make right now is, you know, regardless here in the States of who is in the office, we do have personal power. And if we're afraid of losing this or that or going in a different direction, I think we're going to learn how to take control of our own lives and to make a change in whatever way we can. You know, one of the things that I have to say about this election, and I don't talk politics, but to me, the silver lining, for sure, no matter what your politics are, is that we had a higher turnout rate than we've ever had in this country for an election. And honestly, I think that means that we're all waking up and we're not being as apathetic as we were. So I'm choosing right now to look at it all as people are very passionate. There's a lot of emotion, yes, but I want to look at what's really positive about what is happening right now. And that is that people are not apathetic. They're taking back their power, regardless of the outcome.
You're feeling your heart. You're following your heart, whichever direction that takes you. We all see things very, very differently, and that's okay. You know, whatever's going on with us, of course, we've got all these different viewpoints, but can you follow that? Can you go ahead and step forward and do what's right? And that's what we're seeing. So,
do you see Jason's comment? Do you want to read that? It's really good.
Which one do you want?
Okay, I love the reference to love bombs.
Oh, yes, Jason. I love the reference to love bombs. I spend a lot of time visualizing different colors: pink for love, blue for emotional healing, and so on. Okay, there we go. I like to send that light to everyone I see, whether I interact or not. Also like to envision a white light on everyone's chest to remind me that everyone is divine. That's beautiful.
Yes.
Exactly true. Because even if their physicality is totally against anything that you would think that is possible, they're divinely inside. We all have this divine essence. We're all beautiful, beautiful souls. And so I love that, to remind yourself of their own divinity, because man, it's difficult sometimes, isn't it? You're like, oh gosh, how can I, and then when you respond with that negative energy towards that person that's so against anything that you would believe in, then you're just sending out that negative energy to them. Like I said, that psychic attack, you're like arrows to their heart. So by stopping yourself and saying, okay, take that pause and go, no, divine light, divine light, divine light. Yes. We have to. Steve used to say something. It's funny. I just remembered that he would be on the phone working all the time, and he'd go, he would all of a sudden he would get off the phone and he'd go, I can't kill them. their clients. I can't kill them. They're like he would start because they're all driving him crazy. And I think that's important for us. We're doing our job too. We have to look at them and go, no, they have a divine soul, divine essence, divine soul, because it's so easy for us, and everyone has a purpose on the planet. And the truth is, without getting all political, the last 4 years, I said that I saw one of my predictions last year, 4 years ago, this person, whoever it is going to get in the White House is a wake-up call to humanity, to start waking up to the truth of who they are. And we have had a huge wake-up call. Everyone, whether they manifest it through difficult situations or things that you might judge as negative, all of these things that are going on the planet, they all have a perfect time. They all happen with that divine timing. And we have had a huge wake-up call this past year, especially. And look at all the horrible things that have been happening in the news. Wake up. You got to wake up. You got to wake up. Wake up. We're all in this together. So it's been a wake-up call to pull us together as a human race. I hope it continues.
I think. And to that end, Gabby writes, I had to go into, I'm pretty sure it's Gabby because that's who it was up above. So I had to go into town yesterday. While in there, I bought a bunch of flowers, sat and had a coffee and watched. I saw an elderly lady with tremors take a seat to catch her breath. I walked over, handed her the flowers and said, these are for you. She said, why? I said, it's a random act of kindness. Have an amazing day. Now I want to cry and I have God bumps from head to toe. And she said, this is how I heal. Thank
That's
you.
Beautiful, Gabby.
It is truly in these random acts of kindness. They heal us probably more than anything. And thank you for that reminder. Thank you for that experience to wake us all up to do more random acts of kindness.
Don't you feel like these people are put in your path for that reason in the first place?
Yes.
That most of them, I really do believe the angels take that shape of someone in need sometimes just to see how we're going to react. And if we take the opportunity to reach out to them, there was the cutest little opportunity the other day. I loved it. Oh my gosh, she was so cute. Jim and I were at a restaurant. We're standing in line and there's a dad standing up in front of us and he's got this little redhead. She had bright red hair. She was blue eyes and she was probably about 3. And he's holding on to her and she keeps peeking back at me. And I was like, talking to her because she's the cutest thing I've ever seen. And Jim was like, she's so cute. So we're kind of talking to her and she's just got this sheepish little smile. I went to go to the restroom and her dad was walking back to the restroom and he's all by himself and he's got this and I could see on his face, is like, what am I going to do with this kid? I can't go in here into the restroom with this baby. What am I going to do? And I came up behind her, being the mom of everyone. And I said, it's okay. I said, I know, I don't want you to feel afraid. I've raised 6. I said, if you want me to stand here with her, I will. I promise I won't let her get hurt. And he must have seen trust in me because he did. He let her stand there. And I'm looking at this little cutie pie she was so cute. And we just stood there and had a little conversation and she got braver and started talking to me about her pink juice. And we had a nice talk and he came out and he got his little girl wandered off. And I was like, that was an encounter to me. I felt like I had this little angelic encounter, like, oh my gosh, please let me talk with your little girl for a little while because she's so sweet. So I was blessed by spending time with this child. He was blessed because someone was there to protect her. And she had that little blessing too. She just, I don't know. So there's we have all these little tiny opportunities, like to reach out, to do kind things for each other. And it doesn't have to be a big deal, but right. Are we present? Are we awake enough to say, oh, wait, that person needs a little bit of help from us. Can we help them? And little things. And I do think that the universe gives us those opportunities because it's a dual, like we gain when we give, we gain, right? So it's like,
we do.
It's beautiful.
We really do. I love what Jason said also. He said, I just like to behave as if everyone I meet is God in the flesh, regardless of how they behave. And the truth of it is, Jason, they are. We are. Every single person is the divine spark of God within this body. And wow, but we forget. We forget. We get so caught up in the 3D packaging and the behaviors and all of that we forget who each and every one of us are. That's that is that divine spark of God. And
we all have the ability to feel that. You know, have you ever done that where you're like, oh, so angry with that person, but you stop for a minute? Now, I know I've done it with people that I really love. I connect at a heart level. I'll just be like, okay, I don't really. The other day, Jim was really keyed up with the election, everything. I could tell he's such an empath. He was really keyed up. Now we're all going through that. We all are around people that are really keyed up. And after a while, it's like, oh my gosh, I can barely stand your energy. You're just like, ooh, you know, and part of me just wanted to run for the hills. And the other part of me was like, all right, stop. And I just kind of got close to him and I just let myself feel his heart. That's when it changes. It's always in the eyes and it's how we feel in the heart. And when we connect to somebody at a heart level, if our hearts are open and we're able to slow down long enough to really kind of open to their heart, we'll suddenly feel that connection. We can almost see the golden cord where we're connected to each other. And that's when everything changes. So we got to take the time to look deeper. Don't just look at what's going on the outside. Yeah, the outside's a hot mess. What's on the inside?
Look on the inside. John says, I feel everybody who comes into our path is here for a reason. I would agree with you completely, John. I don't think there are any accidents at all. I think that every single person,
every little one, even when they're just for a second.
And I look at my life today, and one of the things that I got from reconnecting with some of these people that I connected with that I hadn't seen in over 30 years, I realized, and I cried with my old boss. I actually cried on the phone and I said, I just need you to know that everything that I learned when I was in with that broadcasting company, and I was behind the scenes, but we also did philanthropic work. We raised money. We started nonprofit organizations. We did so much good. And I had a hands-on education that literally there's probably not a day that goes by that I don't use that knowledge in some way. And I'm a little river rat from Andalusia, Illinois. I don't have a college education. I literally learned everything I know from other people and experiencing life. And for him and his wife to give me that opportunity to learn that much, and all those people who were involved, and one of the people was an ex-fiance. We started on our spiritual path together. He is amazingly brilliant. And so what I'm seeing now as I'm have reconnected with these people is how grateful, and how in retrospect, and I say this for some of you who are younger, the perfection, the divine perfection of every single person that has been in my life, and how without them, I would not be sitting here in front of you today doing what I do. And the gratitude that I feel, and anything that was anything less than gratitude or love or appreciation for that time period is gone. It's that all went by the wayside. What really became important to me was who I am today because of it.
Right.
And the immense gratitude that I feel. So yeah, it's I love it. No coincidences, only synchronicities. Absolutely.
It's digging down further. We were talking about it this morning. It's going to those relationships that the ones that caused the most pain, or the ones that were the most difficult, are the ones that taught us the most.
Probably, yes.
To a place where we forgive those ones that hurt us in the past, so that we can remember the fact that we learned so much from those relationships, and we're not there anymore. If we don't learn it, we're just going to go through it again. So we might as well allow ourselves to stop, take that pause, look inside. Why did I draw that relationship in? What was I meant to learn from it? Have I learned from it? And can I go forth without having to go through that again? Because man, there's a lot of things that I sure don't want to repeat. Like ready to stop that cycle of repetition of the negative energy, so that I can get to the place. I realized this the other night. Suddenly people, and I have to go back on myself. Yes, you're right. And with me too, with some of my relationships, they're suddenly coming back around to a place where they're ready to communicate. And these may be more recent. I'm not talking 30 years ago. I'm talking about my own kids. I'm talking about all of a sudden everybody started opening up and talking to me in the past couple of weeks, the ones that had been kind of holding back. So you're exactly right. And that's what, because here's the thing with me, it was learning to step back. It was part of that reactivity that I had of being triggered by a lack of communication. When I realized that and I started to release that, then I was okay with with the fact that they weren't responding. I was okay with the fact that we didn't have great communication. I was able to step back and give them the space that they needed. And once I gave them what they needed, which was my space and my silence for a while, then they came back to me. It's like so funny how that works. So, but it all comes out of a past injury, and then it comes out of healing, right? So we're making such progress. That's the thing, is
We
everybody
are.
that's going through this, pat yourselves on the back. This humanity thing is difficult. It's really
It
tough.
is. I love this. John says, when I meet somebody for the first time, I've even started to look to see what we are meeting for. And it's like I'm waiting for them to say something. So I'll think, that's why our paths have crossed, if that makes sense. It makes total sense because we're becoming so much more conscious now. Now that we all know that are kind of on this path, we all go, okay, why are you here? It's kind of like, can I have your resume, please? I want to know who you are, what you've done and everything. Let's just cut to the chase. What did you come to teach me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because that's really ultimately what it is. What did you come into my life to teach me?
Do you think that maybe at some point now that we're realizing that everybody is here to teach us, that maybe we come to the point where we really don't need the teachers anymore? And then we get to a place where we're just equal partners. It's like, no, we're just here to help each other through this now. We're all kind of like on the same equal playing field, because what is he doing?
Oh, yeah, I said they are very to the wrong way. So sorry, I put the wrong emphasis on that. But yeah, that's why our paths have crossed. Yeah, yes, John, I'm sorry. I misinterpretation. Yeah. But the same result. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's truly, truly, truly. And also, anybody else out there, how are you maneuvering this, and what insights? I'm loving this because people are giving us some really good insights as to how they're handling this particular time in our consciousness.
There's one other thing too that I'd really like to bring up, if anybody has this, is I'd like to bring it because it is mystical, because this is magical and the unexplainable. How many people, as we're healing through these relationships and becoming more and more higher, I'm finding that the abilities and the things that were people's clairs, a lot of people that I'm talking to, their clairs are becoming really active, more so than ever. Even hearing things that you're like, am I losing my mind? Please, I need you to know right now, if you're hearing things like you've never heard before, voices or music or whatever, we're really opening up. Our clairs are opening up. You may really actually be hearing like the angelic realm. You're hearing music because there's angels around you. You're seeing flashes of lights because maybe you're catching little bits. And hey, I wrote about this earlier, Geraldine, and it was really beautiful. I'm walking through the woods with the dog and I'm literally going, okay, show me. I want to see fairies. Like, I want to see them with these eyes. And I'm taking pictures all over the place. I want to see the magical creatures. I know you're here. I want you to show me. And I heard a very clear answer from one of my guides that he's right beside you. And I said, what are you talking about? And it was the dog beside me. The voice was like, if you can see that dog for who he really is, you would not belittle him. You would not you would know that you're in the presence of magical creatures. Is that all of these magical creatures, this goes bigger. It's not just me and my dog. Please know that magical creatures are covering themselves up too. They aren't going to be seen as little fairies or whatever, because our human eyes are only willing to accept them as dogs and cats and squirrels and birds and stuff like that, and dragonflies. But as we become more aware, as we heal, suddenly we might see them differently than the way that we've been seeing them. So this crazy dog that's beside me has dragon energy. That's what they pointed out to me. Here's your dragon. He's right here beside you. That's why he's so protective. He's here to protect you. You know, like, please, let's start seeing the world through those magical, mystical, unexplainable eyes. Because the more that we do, the more that they show themselves, the more the magic comes back. And I think that's important to this show because of the title, to remember the magic too. All these physical relationships is so important, the work that we're doing. But please know that we need to look through the eyes of a small child and see the world a little differently too.
See the wonder and the mystery.
Let's get back.
Deborah says, I find this all pretty hard. I understand it, but don't always act in the right way. Okay. I'm so glad you brought this up, because I was telling Diana earlier before we came on, I had a dinner party last night and it was lovely. It was really quite lovely. But then my parents left and there was some stuff going on. We were doing some scheduling stuff and that with some friends and that. And I found myself acting in a way that was, let me put it this way, I was less than spiritual. I had to meet with a friend today and say, listen, you know, my behavior in this particular instance, I'm not crazy about. Not only am I not crazy about, I lost sleep over it last night. I didn't hurt anyone or do anything, but how I was speaking was not at all spiritual. It was not at all loving. And in fact, I truly, truly regretted what I did. Now, with that being said, each and every one of us are, and Diana and I have talked about this, we need to start really embracing our humanity, because even though we know about this stuff, we know what it means to be conscious. We know what it means to be spiritual. We know what it means to be kind. We know what it means to act out of love. We still agreed to come here in these 3D dimensional 3D consciousness bodies and with these ego structures, and we still get hurt. We still get angry. We still have these emotions, and we can't always 100% of the time step outside of that energy.
Yeah. My
suggestion is to myself in particular, when we do this, that we look at it and go, well, that wasn't very attractive. And that's really not something, that's not who I want to be remembered for. That's not how I want people to see me, because that's not who I am at my core. Mm-hmm. But that is a very damaged, wounded aspect of my personality that obviously still needs to be released in a more productive way. And I need to forgive myself. Yeah. First and foremost, I need to forgive myself, because guess what? That's the whole trick. Right. We didn't come here as fifth dimensional consciousness beings. We came here in a very 3D reality that is an ascension process to that. Mm-hmm. So we're not going to get it right all the time, because that's not the point of Earth. Mm-hmm. But we get so caught up in this lofty spiritual concept. I'm the biggest offender. And I see all this stuff. I've studied this stuff for so long. I should be perfect at it. No, I still have stuff. And not just from this lifetime, probably from a multitude of other lifetimes and in other interactions with these people. So, so Deborah, if you're not always acting in the way that you understand all this stuff to be, or you get confused or whatever, the first thing I would say is please forgive yourself and cut yourself some slack, because guess what? We're all just doing the best we know how. And we're conscious, we're at least awake, right? We're a step ahead of the game. I figure, that's got to count for something.
Yeah, right? It does. It definitely counts for something. It counts for a lot, but it doesn't mean that we're always on. It doesn't mean that we're always, I know for me, I work hard at this morning, and that's what came through. It was like, okay, I'm literally asking my guides, my angels, my team. I am tired of reacting out of that injured ego. I want the ego to evolve. I want ego to come into alignment with my higher self. I want to stay plugged in. I don't want to lose that connection to the other side. I want to stay so that I can pull that. But does that mean I'm always going to be perfect? No. Sometimes I still sink into that other, but I'm working. I'm a work in progress, just like all of us. We have to, and please ask for help. If you don't understand how to do it, if you keep getting yanked back down into this, you're not alone. You have a team of helpers. Please ask to have that icky energy cleansed away, just washed away, so that you can step out of it and not be just buried in it. Because if you're not asking for, like, here's what happens. We feel so guilty for falling into that lower vibrational stuff with other people, that then we won't ask for any help. And so then it just keeps compounding, and we keep getting deeper into the mud puddle. Just stop. Just say, you know what? This is feeling kind of icky. I'm just not feeling good about this. I can walk away from it. And then once I do, I'm going to ask my angels to help me to clear that stuff away. And then I'm going to work with myself, and I'm going to forgive myself for falling in there, because I'm human, because I still have that human side. And forgiving yourself is number one. It's really important that you step out of that guilt and the shame and the blame, and remember that you're human, and your angels and your guides and source, and they all understand that you're human, and they still love you. I promise you're still so loved without any condition. Let it go. Don't hold yourself in that space.
And she said something later on in the thread about not being as advanced as everyone in here. Well, okay. Maybe you haven't consciously been on this path as long as some of us, but maybe longer than others. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I want to read Gabby's comment. Mm-hmm. We all have the knowledge inside of us, but need others to bring us to it. I am starting to understand that we don't need to always go to others for information. We already have it. Just need to be still enough to hear it and see it. This is my learning at the moment. And that's so true. Here's the thing. We are all perfectly divine souls. We all have all the knowledge. It's just that some people, everybody's got to start on their path at a determined time that was you determined as a soul as to when you were going to step on your path, when you were going to wake up. That doesn't make you any less or any more. It just means this was your soul's path. And so what is the beauty of that is that as consciousness grows and evolves, the faster everybody moves up in consciousness. So what would have taken me a decade, you're doing in a month.
Right.
Okay. So we have a tendency, and this has been one of my issues I've had to deal with, because I have been around some of the most gifted people on the planet. I mean, seriously gifted. Like, they see angels, they see guides, they see ascended masters, they talk to dead people, everybody, right? And here I am going, I can't do that. I've been trying to do this for over 3 decades, right? I have my skill set, trust me. But that's never been it. And so I always thought, oh my gosh, why can't I? Why can't I? We have fallen into sometimes the trap of comparing and judging where we're at and where others are at. Deborah, the fact that you're even asking these questions and making these statements puts you so far ahead of the pack. You have no idea. You are like such a small percentage of the population, because most people don't even think to ask these questions or even care about these questions. So you're way more advanced than you think, and please cut yourself some slack. Really, seriously.
We're all here to teach. If you want to learn more about it, some of us are specifically here to help people learn how to open up and how to make that shift. So, you just reach out, you look for the classes, you reach out to the teachers that are here, because that's what we're here for. We're all here for each other, to teach each other how to get to that place. Like Gabby was saying, sometimes you really need somebody to come into your life to say, oh, this is how you get to that. And it doesn't mean that you're going to be talking to dead people. It doesn't mean that you're going to be doing things exactly like the person that you're coming to. It just means that somebody needs to help you get a wake-up call to kind of open you up and teach you how to get to that part of you that will then give you the answers. That's really our job. I see so many teachers that are like, I'm going to keep you on a rope. you know, like I'm doing sessions and I'm going to keep you on a rope and I'll do this and I'm going to show you how, you know, like I'm going to do it because I'm like better. Somehow I think that I'm better than everyone else. I look at it as my job is to open up windows and doors. My job is only to give you the keys. And once you figure out how to open the door, then you go. That the answers are coming. You're getting your own answers. That's the most beautiful thing that I just love when I see somebody suddenly the light bulb goes off. I'm like, you got it, babe. You got it. Go for it. Now you got it.
Yeah. And
And
just gotta
it's
keep
completely unique to you. It doesn't have to be like anybody else's. We're all made to be completely unique.
Bingo. And just keep reminding each other that you are exactly where you're supposed to be. You're not supposed to be any further ahead or any further behind. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. And it's our job, our responsibility to each other to embrace that we're exactly where we're at. And we know exactly what we need to know in this moment of time. And Gabby even said it earlier as well. She said, it comes when it's right. And it does. When we're ready, it comes to us and we have those aha moments. You are exactly where you need to be and don't doubt it. Do not doubt it. And if you do, call me up. I'm going to tell you otherwise.
That's right. Just look us up. Yeah. I think we're about due to get off of here.
I think we're a little overdue.
I tend to do that anyway. You know, I'm surprised that people ever put up with me because I just keep on going. I just let it go. As long as the Spirit wants to talk through these shows, we allow it. And there's always divine timing. And that person that might need to hear what we have to say may not pop in until the last 5 minutes after the show was supposed to be over. So we go with the energy. The energy said to stick around for a little bit. So I just hung out. So you guys, we thank you so much. We're still seeing all these great comments. We thank you so much for joining us and for all this great conversation. And if you need any more, we're back next week. We're back on Thursday. We got another show on Thursday at 4. Tomorrow morning, I'll be here. We just keep on coming back, just like that old cat. It just never can stay away. So
showing up. And thank you all for your input because I mean, seriously, it is so awesome that, you know, that's the thing. We need to help each other. And you guys keep giving us your input because that really, what one of you says is maybe we would have never thought to say that or have that experience, but that's going to touch someone else. So, you know, this is what I love about the comments. It keeps everybody going. And oh my gosh, Gabby, thank you for waking up early and to be here with us. I mean, seriously, thank you so much. Thank you, each and every one of you. It just, what a beautiful soul family. What a beautiful family we are. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
This. Thank you, because this makes my day. It makes me
feel good. We're loaded up now. You guys, blessings to you. We love you. Big hugs from the angels. You are so loved. Please take good care of yourselves, and we'll see you again soon.
See you next week.
Bye.
Okay. And see you soon. Bye-bye.